everybody? It is Dan, the podcast man. Welcome to a very special episode of Highlighting the Journey. I got my co-host here today, Pocket Pete.
Hey now.
Pete, I think you should introduce our two guests here today.
All right. We have Mike and Kevin. Mike and Kevin are from the construction world. And
Which one's Mike and which one's Kevin?
That's Mike. Hey now, Mike.
Hey now.
Tell us about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm a 1556 dock builder. I was a police officer before I'm retired.
Oh boy.
So I said it.
Which one do you feel more of? Do you feel more of a dock builder or more of a cop? You gotta have some.
Oh, I feel more of a dock builder. Cop is ancient history to me.
How many crimes did you ignore on a dock builder job site? That's what I want to know.
We want to know.
How long we got?
This is the whole point.
Kevin, tell the world who you are.
What, before coffee, right?
I don't enforce anymore.
Oh,
There
boy.
you go. You know.
Who are you, Kevin?
Who are you, Kevin?
Yeah.
Kevin, 1556 dock builder, proud of it.
How many years?
Like 15.
How much time did you have?
Not like 5 years.
So you're better than him. That's
I got it. I basically.
He's never been
I
better
said,
than me.
I went to my older brother. I said, "Come over here. I got you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been taking care of him for the first how many years of his life. So,
oh, wait a minute. You guys are brothers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. How's that on the job site?
It's interesting.
Have you guys worked on the same site?
Of course,
Yes.
it's fantastic as long as he understands the pecking order and in life, age-wise, he's here.
That's why it's
and
never
I'm here.
good because I don't
However, on the
understand
job
that.
site, I'm there. There.
Wait, so who's the older one? You're the older one?
No, I'm
No, he
younger.
only looks like he's the older one.
Oh.
You know,
You said you were in your prime. When you, right?
I'm in
Yeah,
my
he
prime
lies
every
a lot.
day. Got to get my shoulder healed up and I'll be better. I'll be more.
What
in
happened
my
with your
prime. Torn rotator cuff.
What was that? What caused that? Wear and,
Doing work.
wear and tear.
tear.
Yeah. You know, Pete, we've been talking for quite some time. Let's talk about what this project that you have started, this movement, I like to call it, and it brings up a good topic, his injury, and where we want to kind of navigate some of these topics.
So you were in the shirt. Thank you for that. You're part of the.
I'm part of
Founders
it.
Club?
Yes, I
Yeah.
forget that. I should put the sticker on top of my logo and just have it right there. But
Yeah. So we're building out the project called the Working Class Guide to Getting Rich. And basically what it is as an iron worker, the whole time I was an iron worker, everything that we did to get up every day, 4 a.m, show up on the job site, bust our asses, having a great time with each other. We always talked about knowing there was something more out there. There's something more we can do for ourselves. And we would say, oh, I heard about this penny stock, or I heard about this thing. And I didn't know anything, and I was trying all this bullshit. But I knew there was something out there that other people were doing that I didn't know about. And then I got hurt at work. I got knocked out of the job, got thrown into real estate, which is the world I'm in now. And I learned all the things I wish I knew when I was there. And I feel called to action to create a movement to bring everything I learned that the 1% is doing, that people are doing, that we can use as W-2 people, how to pull. I want to go back and pull everybody up and show them these are the things that you can do to create a better life, to leverage up what you're doing and not leave your job, but use your job to build more safety, to build more wealth, to have something for your family, to not wake up every day and go, if I get hurt, what happens next? So we're doing the Working Class Guide to Getting Rich, July 20th. Having a massive event at Mulcahy's. We need people there so that I can feel like I said what I needed to say to the world.
I love that. Did you?
This guy's a safety inspector, by the way. I don't know if anyone. So this podcast just went downhill.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. We have bamboozled you into a safety meeting and a toolbox talk, and you're just gonna sit here and hear me. Oh man, your eyes are lighting up. He's really wow. You really you're
So everything you feel about safety, can you tell him everything you feel about safety
I
inspection?
am ready.
How long is this podcast?
Until it ends.
James, how much time we got? Okay, we got 49 minutes for you to roast me. Is that what you want to do here?
Better go get earplugs.
I don't think earplugs are enough.
Nah, listen, everybody's got a job on the site, and I'm actually one of those people. I don't view the safety guys in an adversarial way because history has taught us that without someone like you as a gatekeeper for things like that, companies historically run amok and where collateral damage.
One of the most important things, realistically, when I'm on the job site, I've learned this with time and experience. I started out when I was 19. And my ego was through the roof because I was brought in as an apprentice, safety apprentice. My father was a local 79 labor. The good combination behind that was that I learned certain etiquette when it came to the job site. When to talk, when not to talk, when to work, and how to navigate yourself appropriately. But when I obtained my license and then I was disconnected from my father, I went to a job site and then I was by myself. And I found myself in a very powerful position. Oh, I can say and do what I want on this job site to these guys, and they're going to have to listen to me. And ultimately what I found out, long story short, that didn't really last too long in my career because they got sick of me. We got sick of the safety guy because he's unrealistic. He's not addressing the site. He's just using his power because it's licensed and it's required by law. But ultimately, with time, and especially now that I'm a father of 2 kids and I have 15 years in the business, I have learned ultimately to care about the construction worker. And I have different pair of eyes. I went through a lot of hardship, not to piggyback on my story because I want to talk about you two. But ultimately, I hear you talking about your shoulder, and it bothers me because my father had surgery on both of his hands, and he's at the time, he was local 79. He was out of work for a year. But what saved him during that process was, thank God we had some rental properties. And I want to make sure you guys, the guys that work so hard to build, I'm going to say it, America, ultimately should be taken care of and should be given these tools. And that's where I think Pete is filling in, because you don't understand how bankable, how much leverage you got. And so me as a safety professional now, I have completely different eyes. And at the end of the day, I do want you going home safely and show you guys respect. I wasn't showing respect back then. And I'm sorry to anybody out there, but realistically, I want to see you guys win. You guys absolutely deserve it in my eyes.
There's only one guy out there. Hey now. So when did you get on the job? How many years you have on the job?
2010.
What did you do before that?
I had a landscape construction business, and I just basically did various forms of construction. I've been working since I was 11 years old. I took over his paper out, 11 or 12, and then I started cutting lawns at 13 with my dad's lawnmower. So I worked my entire life, 40 years.
You went from cutting lawns with your dad
No,
into a lawn construction company?
I had I had the paper out, so older people on the paper out would offer me to do odds and ends or cut the lawn, so I'd earn additional money beyond delivering the papers. And then I graduated high school and I started cutting lawns and picking up various construction jobs. And, so I have a background in doing a wide or varied array of different construction.
I want to piggyback off what you just said. So they would offer you other jobs and you would take them, right?
Of course.
And this is what I'm talking about.
Money.
Of course. Of course, money.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about with construction workers. They're hustlers. They're going to get the job done. They're going to figure out how to get to the next level. But if you're not given what Pete's given, it's like if you got that information, you you will double down on that, right?
100%.
That's
That's why when Pete had asked me to get involved with this, and me and a very good mutual friend of ours, we absolutely threw in with them because we trust Pete. And also, I'm going to be 53 years old this year. There's a shelf life on my physicality. You know, like right now, I'm injured. Obviously, I had a big shoulder surgery, but that's the third reconstructive surgery in 4 years.
wow.
So if I hope to be a beast for another 10 years on the job site, but beyond that, what do I have? And retirement's great and everything like that, but I don't feel like I'm gonna be able to be that comfortable when I retire. I don't live extravagant. I live very modestly, but I have the fortune when I work that I could go on overtime jobs, so I can navigate that and control my income. Once I'm on a fixed income, that's it. I'm done.
Essentially, we have a decade to create something special that you can use to protect your retirement, protect your family.
So as an important caveat to what I just said, and to kind of parlay into what you had said, I'm out of work 3 months right now from the shoulder surgery. I saw my surgeon on Friday, and I have great mobility, good strength, but he said the flexibility, like my joints way too tight. He said, I don't think I'm going to let you go back to work for 3 additional months. So just to get this right out of the way, I have no income for 3 months. So when he says he's going to hold me back 3 more months, that'll be 3 additional months of no paycheck. I don't qualify for unemployment because I'm not ready, willing, and able to work. And we don't get anything else. So I'm living off my savings. Thank God my wife and I live modestly, but there is nothing for us other than what was saved. So something like what you had, approached me with makes a lot of sense to me, because God forbid, accidents are unplanned events. So God forbid something else happens, I would be in a better position. If something happened after this, before I was able to go back to work and bank a bunch of money again.
Yeah, but I think that's such an incredible point, and so many people are living that.
Entire trades are like that.
Yeah, and I think the bigger thing is what guys will do is they'll make a decision against their body to feed their family
Every day.
Yeah, they will have to make a decision to go back to work hurt, to go back to hurt risking, and to not make a decision what is best for them. And even necessarily, they kind of know, it might even be best for my family to gamble again, but I can't go another week without a paycheck, right? So, you're in this position to only make the bad decision, right?
Well, you as a safety guy know a lot of guys get injured and they don't report it, because when you report it with workman's comp, the way the system's all set up, you're basically, you can't go back to work. My field, there is no light duty for us. So if I had the foresight years ago to have gotten involved with something like that, like what you're talking about, I would be in a far different position than I am today.
You mentioned something really good. You mentioned the overtime, where you would take overtime when it's available. And I was the same way when it came to my job too. Oh, there's overtime, I'm going to take it, because I don't know when the overtime is going to dry up. Another thing too is that you guys are seasonal. A lot of times
Not really us, because if you the Dock Builders Union is a niche, and we always work, especially if you work, you work. You know what I mean? So and that's the way we go to the job site to get something accomplished.
But I was saying with the overtime, you are investing in your brain, and then the way I thought too. Let me work the extra 5-6 hours, because I'm going to make the double time. I'm going to make the time and a half. Yeah. And I'm saving that for that rainy day, which you have saved for. But we take that same mentality of that overtime period and we apply it to real estate. Because I personally think construction workers, you guys know how to build. If you got a distressed house, would you know how to remodel it?
done it.
And that's why I feel like construction workers.
Did it for somebody else for a lot of years.
So let's do it for you. Let's do it for you because you also have the advantage. You have one of the hardest parts in real estate. The hardest part in real estate, I know Pete's going to agree with me on this, is finding the property. But once you find the property, it's the rehab. And construction workers, how many guys you know? Electricians, carpenters. You have an arsenal on your phone, right?
Yeah, sure.
You basically can call anybody to help you remodel a home. The other thing too is that if a lot of people get scared with these certain houses, and you would fit right in where people, I've seen, myself, I look at a house like way too much, and you might look at it and say, it's a piece of cake. So there's so many ways to reframe the mindset too. It's like, yeah, the overtime is great, but let's take that overtime and let's put it a little off to the side and let's find something where it's going to be yours. It's going to be yours, not anybody else's. You're building.
I'm looking to invest more in myself.
Correct.
Because I could live off the 40 hours a week. So the rest of the time that I have, that I would typically try to work as much overtime as possible. I'm looking to try to invest in myself so I could maybe be in a different position financially in 8 years, 10 years.
And there's tricks that I'm going to teach and teach you that will help you fast track that. Because like a lot of guys are like, I need to save, I need 100 grand, I need 300 grand to invest. It's not about the cash per se. It's that you're lendable, that you have a great income, that you can get a loan, and then the tricks and processes to find properties that are, a lot of times you get beat up, distressed property. I'll show you how to buy it as if you're buying it with cash, but you're not. There's institutions, there's private money, there's your friends, and then you can take that, fix it up, rent it, and then refinance it and pay off those debts and own it for sometimes next to nothing out of pocket. And then you get to do it again. So it's called the BRRRR. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And it allows you to use your income.
Have you heard that? Have you guys heard this term before? Never. Have you?
No. I mean, in all.
From Pete.
I actually just met Pete.
Like
I
5 minutes
actually-
later.
I actually didn't know I was going to be doing this.
I love it.
But here I am.
Sandbag 'em.
Yeah, that's my brother over there.
That's what I do.
Of course.
See, that's what
Sandbag,
him
son of
and
a
some
bitch.
other guy off camera does to me all the time. Thank you
what
very
are you doing?
much.
Whatever he's doing, that's not important. You come to me.
So let's ask this question. If he calls you and said, you got to meet me at this address, we got to go to work, you're just going to hop in the car and go?
Yeah.
So this sounds like,
We're brothers, that's what we do.
well, of course. But this sounds another opportunity where I want to kind of put you two in an even better position. Who you think is smarter with numbers?
Definitely me.
Okay. I'm not even trying to make a joke out of it.
Smarter all the
Yeah,
time.
he's smarter all the time.
But
what I'm-
regular Pythagoras. Sorry.
But
okay.
some of the key points to understand when we do real estate investing is I know what my weaknesses are, and that's why I have certain people to do those things. If he's good with numbers and you're good with the construction, you guys are brothers, perfect. You guys.
But if my weakness is him.
Wow.
Right.
All right, I'll help him out. I'll help out my younger brother. I've been doing it my whole life.
Are you going to help him out?
Of course I'm going to help him out.
But this
It'd
is.
be nice to have the shoe on the other foot. There
Would
you
you
go.
share? Okay. Are you willing to share your property with him?
Of course I am.
Okay, but that's the kind of also the things I want you guys to also think about. You don't have to independently do it alone too, and you can team up. And then with us, with Pete and me and Pete, we're gonna help you guys. We want you guys to pick up the phone like, Dan, I have this house, I have no idea. All right, I'm gonna take a drive out. Pete will check it out. We'll help you understand how this whole game works. It's basically. It's a game. Would you say it's a game?
It's a fun game.
It's a fun game. It gets a little addicting.
And there's ways for everybody to win. Like I hope you come me say I'm selling a property to you.
You got
Right?
me.
Right. Yeah. So like he's buying a property through me. Well, really through me, but from me. I'm winning. He's winning.
Yep.
And it's a world in which you can create win-win scenarios for everybody. You own rental properties, right?
Yes, I have a rental property, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's already ahead of the
Yeah.
game. But what about your brother?
Well, I actually live in the house though, yeah, and I have rental. No, I have at least one
Okay.
rental.
One public one.
Well, actually, like you was talking about before, about like you know, as far as you know, doing construction or doing anything. So when I go and look at a house, I already just natural for me. You know, I can look. I could put an apartment there.
Yeah.
I could do this. I could do that. So you know, I took a house that was a legal 2-family, but I saw, you know, another income in it possibly.
6
Maybe.
more incomes.
Maybe not, but you know, yeah. And I might see another one in now in the same house actually. But
Nice. Yeah, a couple house tumors. I like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I naturally look at things like that. That's like a no-brainer for me. And I, you know, I was a carpenter before I was a police officer. You know, I learned from 2 German carpenters. So I mean, I'm
What's
really,
the difference between a regular carpenter and a German carpenter?
German carpenters don't make any money until they, you know, it's a very strict learning process
Really?
with them. Over there, these are old guys. They're
Old world guys.
Yeah, old
These are
world guys.
old world.
So one guy was a carpenter, one guy was a cabinet maker. So I learned kind of like both things, you know, from them. So you know, I did that. You know, I did a bunch of things. I had a tree company. The same kind of story. Kevin worked for me before he had his own stuff. He worked for me, and I was a cop working midnights. During the day, I had.
Oh, you worked for a cop.
I had I had you know, I had a landscaping tree company during the day. So I've always hustled. My downfall's been divorces. You know, I've had a couple of those. So you know, but I'm still out here kicking and doing my thing, and you know, trying to. And I'm always looking to. I don't think that I'm done yet.
You're not done.
I'm not.
You're not even close.
I want to keep, you know, my kids are grown pretty much, so now I can start concentrating on me making. And I've also done a lot of security bodyguard work for people with a lot of money. So I've seen the way they think. I've seen how they make their money, and that's why I know I make my money totally the wrong way. So you know,
you guys literally have all the tools spread out in front of you, but it's all disorganized. We're here to organize your tools.
How important is a good credit score?
Depends on the situation.
It depends on the situation.
Yeah. So a DSCR loan is it looks at whether or not they'll look at your credit somewhat, but I can probably solve that problem.
5 tier 1.
Oh, okay.
Like
Then-
in mid-8.
I just want me to pull it down, is what you're saying.
that was just a brag. That was like
No, but it's a
some
good
kind of
question.
brag for
It is a
me.
good question.
You know?
Yeah, you were setting up a brag? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Mike, he was setting up a brag.
Yeah, he was setting up a brag.
Conversational
Run it,
point.
so
Okay.
we all got
Yeah.
that at this table.
We got to run his
probably,
social.
so, so
He's
just
running
relax.
social.
Yeah. So credit score has a role, but there's paths without it. So I can, and we have people that will, within 3 to 6 months,
So the reason
fix your credit.
why I ask
Well, he
is-
doesn't
is
need that.
while I have a really good credit score, I don't have an income right now because of the surgery.
Yeah.
So I like when you go back to the W-2 thing, like what would you suggest for somebody like me who has the strong credit score, a lot of equity in his personal residence,
Yeah. Got it.
but no W-2?
Okay, so right off the bat, like if I was starting fresh, I just like landed in your body, right? I'm in your body now.
Scary,
So
go ahead.
right,
You're a lot bigger than me.
right.
We went there.
So I'm you, and you have no income, you have good credit, right? And you have any savings that you can utilize towards this,
Yeah.
right? So I'm first and foremost, I'm letting everybody know that I buy houses, I solve house problems. So if you know anybody that's losing their house or having a hard time with their house or that inherited a house that they don't want, I want to solve that. I want to help there, right? And you're going to look find beat up houses. You may even spend some of that money on marketing to get in front of people, but you can just in your network find one house that you can use. Then you're gonna go and you're gonna learn your numbers, right? But I'm in your body, so now I know the numbers, right? I'm gonna make an offer on that house that works. I'm gonna know what it's gonna cost to fix up, who I'm gonna hire, what I'm gonna do. I need money to buy the house, right? And I need money to fix it up. I can do one or two things. I can reach out to everybody in my network. Let's say I need $400,000 and go, I'm loaning I'm borrowing $400,000 at 12%. I will take them in $50,000 clips. If any of my people want to borrow against their 401k, against their insurance, against whatever, that they can pay themselves back, I'm going to give you 12% so I can buy this house. And then I'm going to borrow another 100 and I'm going to pay 12% on that once I close on the house. Who wants to do that? You hit the phone 30 times, you're going to raise $400,000, no problem, right? Because you're surrounded by people that have some money in the bank that's been paying 1%, 2%, right? Hold on, let me get through this. Yeah, so then I'm all fired up, right?
Hell yeah.
You can.
Yes.
Right. So then I find the house. I bring my boys and I use the borrowed money. Some of the people that loan me the money are going to want to work on the job and get paid twice, right? So they're going to lend me the money, and so now they're making 18% of their money because I'm paying them to swing a hammer. We're gonna fix up the property, right? Once we fix up the property, we get a DSCR loan. DSCR loan only looks at credit and how much income the rents will be. They don't care if you have income. So now once I have the property, I'm gonna find the perfect tenant. I'm gonna go through all the screening process, find the tenant, probably hire me, but I'm you, so now I can't hire me.
Hire yourself.
Right, I'm gonna the second best person other than me. I'm gonna find that person and place somebody in there. Once I have that lease, I'm gonna call my mortgage guy. I'm gonna say I'm ready. They're gonna go there. They're gonna do two types of appraisal: the appraisal for the value of the house, and the appraisal of the value of the rents. And they're gonna say, well, the rents are this much, the value's this much. I can lend you up to 80% of that value, which is actually more than the money I put in there. So now I'm pulling all the money that I had in there out of it, and I'm paying everybody back with their interest. I'm the hero. Now they're going, why are you paying me back? I want to make 12%. And I go, all right, I guess I got to find another house. I have no money in the game. I had no income. Now I have a rental property. I have somebody in there cash flowing me and paying down the mortgage. I raise the rent every year. It appreciates every year. And I can do that again and again and again, and in 5 years, I can own 10 rental properties with not having income, and in that 10th year, that first house is going to be worth 30 to 40% more. That's all equity. It's paying it down. It's going to pay it down about 12%, so I got about 50% equity in the house. Now I have all these things I can cash out of and buy more houses, and the machine is going, and I am winning the game. I'd do something like that.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Holy moly! I think you just finally said what you needed to say to these guys.
Yeah, cancel the event.
We're done here. What were you gonna say? You said like you had something on your mind.
Heard that?
Pocket Pete, you're Pocket Pete now because he's in. Because you raised your hand. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, we'll
I
hold
lost
off.
my train of thought.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He
I
buried
was a
you.
little overwhelmed.
Sounds like a great idea.
No more sugar for
It's
this
a
one.
great thing. How long, like you said about, starting to see, it's like a 10-year plan to see initially there's money, but it's like a 10 years until you're kind of financially,
You'll see it within 10 years is the period where you'll see, it'll hit you I'm wealthy. I have because everything when you first buy, even though you have some equity because you're trying to buy at a discount.
It's on paper. Yeah.
It's on paper, and maybe you're worth an extra $30,000-$40,000 on that first house,
Sure.
and it's just on paper. You're not even sure if you put it out there if someone would buy it at that price. Yeah. And then you got the second, and then 10 years later you go, well, I have $500,000-$700,000 of equity that I have to tap out of whenever I want, and I never have to sell it either. I can just borrow it, so I'm not paying taxes on it.
Yeah.
Because if you borrow it, you're not paying taxes.
Yeah.
And someone else is paying it off anyway.
Yeah, somebody's paying it off to people that rent
Yeah.
it. That's the point I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
So
not. You're not.
I'd
That's
say-
like my house. My house is getting paid for by other
Yeah.
people.
Now-
Like sounds like 17 other people.
Yeah.
No.
But the other
Yeah,
element.
maybe I'll add somebody else. This way,
Pete is
so I can pay for my next endeavor.
Yeah.
Pete has mentioned a bunch of stuff, but there's also the risk that does go behind it. But we're here to minimize that risk, so you are prepared. There are reserves that you put aside when you do a rental property. You just don't take the money and then, oh man, I'm getting extra, let's say $500 a month. Let me just put that. I'm gonna go out to eat. No, we will strategize planning this out where the tenant does leave for 6 months and realistically in Long Island that probably vacancy is really low, but let's say you do have the 6 months with no rent, you will be prepared for that. We don't want to just say buy a rental property and here are the numbers, like, and then you do the whole process and then like the person, like, we have not prepared you for worst case scenario. We want to make sure you understand what that is, you know, and I think that's very important because we are saying a lot of great things, but they're also the risks that we want to make sure you're aware about and that you're prepared for that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I'll do when I'm teaching this to people is I show what the set aside should be. We have something called the we have 3 set asides. You have the CapEx set aside, which means it's the big stuff that's going to happen.
Like your roof.
the roof, the boiler, the things that take 30 years to go bad, but they're going to go bad, and you think you're earning a profit, then you get hit with a $10,000 bill. Then you think you're earning a profit, then you hit the vacancy. You set that aside, and maintenance. You always set that aside. So when people are collecting rent, they feel like because my mortgage is $1,000 and my rent is $1,200, I'm mostly making $200. You're probably losing money. If you're
Your
really
margin's that close.
if you're not, because you don't realize the non-monthly costs that are coming. That if you factor it in, you can tell if you're really making money on it.
So you're running it like a business. It's
You gotta run
like,
it like a business,
like a guy told me a long time ago that had a business that him and his partner had a number which was 0. So if they had 50,000 in the bank in their business account, that was 0 to them. They had 0 money,
Right.
and so they always had more than that. But they
Right.
always knew with their employees that if things got bad, COVID, something happens, and they go down to 0, they got 50,000 more.
Right.
Just saying,
Yeah.
for example.
the
So
way
it's kind of like the same thing, like you run a business like that or something.
most people
Yeah,
in the trades, that's the way you have to run your household. Though, like overtime's not guaranteed. The economy can be fickle, and so
Yeah, the layoff set aside.
yeah,
Right.
you got to. That's what I'm living off of right now.
Yeah.
To back up to what you had said earlier, so you find a distressed property, right? So walk me through the process. So now you communicate with the person who owns the house, right?
Yeah.
I have basic cursory knowledge of homeowner construction, right? So I could look at the exterior walls, make sure they're plumb. I look at the ridge line. If I see sags in it, I know that probably interior walls have been moved, stuff like that. But I'm not a home inspector or an engineer. So do you get these people involved in this process? So
No. So one I've done.
I know more than a home inspector, but
Not to knock home inspectors because we do have
Of
great,
course.
but you're in the position that you're willing to take that risk. Like I know when I look at a property, like I know I could fix this if it was just me. And if I can't fix it realistically, I don't really touch it. So I go with it. I know what my limits are when it comes. If I start seeing foundational issues, I'm kind of maybe Pete's more experienced, but I don't touch
see,
properties.
that wouldn't scare me. 'Cause
See,
I
that's the
poured
difference.
so millions of yards of concrete.
If you don't know, so I would say if you're sitting with somebody and you're doing that scenario that I just said, and you got introduced to somebody, it's likely that first and foremost, the first thing you're going to do is get to know them and what they're going through. That's more important than the whole process, because until you build trust with them and you actually want to help them to figure out how to solve this, it doesn't matter what everything else costs, because they're not going to sell it to you if they don't trust you, think you're taking advantage of them. So you actually got to hear what they have going on and help them solve those problems. So once you take that in, you can probably, if there's anything that makes you nervous, you can articulate that and go and bring somebody in. I would bring someone like me or like Remodel Rob or like somebody that
A lay person in the field.
There was somebody that does this every day that can scan with their eyes and go, here's the worst case scenario, and that's that. Just early on when you're learning, a lot of this business is like laser quick once you like really get into it. But then you can, once you know those things, then you can go to the next step, which is
You're confident enough though, because you've done this so many times, that you can mitigate all of that just by when you go in there visually looking at everything.
Yeah.
I even step it up even a little farther. Like I'm in the position now where with my recent rental property, besides the one I'm doing a transaction with him, I didn't even get to see inside of the house that he's selling me. And I'm already buying it because I'm so confident because I ran what the house will appraise at. And the number that it appraises out is huge. I'm not so concerned because I already did my max rehab saying it's going to cost me $125,000 if I know if there's major issues. So you get to certain points where if you get the house at such a great deal, it doesn't matter. You're okay with spending $150,000 or even $170,000 because you know ultimately when you do the remodel, you're still going to make the equity. You're still going to make the cash flow. So the deal still works. It just sucks. It's like my father gets in his headspace. Oh my God, you're going to spend how much money on a rehab? Because he wants to do it all himself. But that's kind of the other caveat too. But you're such in a power position. I don't think you guys ultimately envision it. I want you to visualize that. I want you to see that.
Yeah, and also what you might hear is when you hear $170,000 of work, you're thinking, how am I going to come up with that money? Right, where is that money coming from? I got to buy that's where the lending comes in. Like I don't use my own money ever, hardly ever. It's always who wants to win with me, right? So like when you're hearing these numbers, it can feel daunting. I promise you, it's phone calls away. So like you got to figure out what the problem is. If the math works. The rule in real estate is you find the deal, the money finds you. So like as long as the math works, you win. You want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because I know you're giving a seminar, which I'm going to go to. It's the first time I met him. And
are you sold? Are you sold?
Well, you know what? Yes, I am. But I've heard a lot about him because I have my brother knows him well, and I got a mutual friend of his,
out there, yeah.
some guy out there somewhere, that I love, and he knows him very well. So, but my question is, so I know, you talk about rentals and stuff. I've always been interested with the idea, like an idea in my head about getting, because I thought about doing this before.
Everybody has
never did it, but I know people that have done it. Actually, somebody I was very close to years ago, he used to do this. He was older than me, and his end of it, he was in Brooklyn and Queens doing it, and he used to have a lot of Section 8. Do you now, because I know they pay, so if people are worried like me, I would think, well, if I can get, first of all, I can get a house in maybe an up-and-coming neighborhood, we're going to call it, okay, and then, or any neighborhood where you can get it for cheap, but like just me thinking coming in from before this, about the money, right? The bottom line, I figured, I can get a cheap house, in a neighborhood that I don't necessarily want to live in, maybe, but I could buy a rental house in that neighborhood. So with the whole thing, I'm telling, what I'm asking about.
I know what you're talking about, and
about Section 8, you get paid all the time. So it's one less worry.
I can answer that question because I do a lot of Section 8. First thing and foremost, there's no discrimination. A tenant is a tenant. All right.
Yeah,
I would go through any type of screening process. The caveat with Section 8, there's actually multiple programs. I have a person that's on a emergency housing voucher, and I'm guaranteed that money. And
that's what I'm talking about.
It's in the bank account. Yeah. And yes, there are certain programs where you can get these certain people. This new family I just got in, they were virtually living in a shelter, and now this program is going to pay the rent for 6 months, and then at the 6 months mark, they're going to pay 90% the program, and then they have to pay 10%. Ultimately, what is allowing that program to do is transition them back into society, into a normal rent. Because believe it or not, these people were paying their rent for 7 years. Yeah. Honest tenants, ran a background check. There was no issues. Unfortunately, the house they were living in was paying the person rent. The person did not tell them, the house is foreclosed. They got a knock at the door.
I've heard that story.
And they got kicked
before.
out.
I've heard that too, yeah.
So it's
all too common.
So what certain programs will do is emergency housing, where are great programs. You have this new one I'm using is called EOC. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to vet that tenant, and there's a whole screening process, and I got to feel good that I'm putting you in my house. Because when I rent out a house, for me to bring down also like those margins, like repairs and stuff, I redo the whole house, and people think I'm out of my mind. Why would you remodel a rental property? Well, first and foremost, I wouldn't rent the property out if I wouldn't live in there. That's my number one. You don't belong in this business if you're not willing to live in the house that you actually remodeled, unless your standards are extremely low. But safety standards and stuff like, ironically, safety. But these are the things that you also have to account for when you do these rental process. And I have houses that done it. I don't know. Do you do any rentals?
My longest tenant ever was 9 years, and they were Section 8. And that's the beauty of
Section 8.
Section 8
No,
program.
that's what I'm
They're
asking.
longer term.
And I didn't mean it.
No, go ahead.
In like a disparaging way. What,
No.
what
I
was
just
saying
want to
is,
clarify because
I
people.
just know a guy that did it.
Yep.
Successfully for years, and that was his business model because he knows he's always going to get his money, and
With Section 8 in New York, for these people to get on Section 8, literally could take them a decade.
yeah.
And if they get on this, right, their rent's being taken care of. Do you really think if they're on Section 8, they want to screw that up?
I think that's a misconception.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
just
they're
a-
vetted from the state.
Yeah, they
from
vetted a lot.
I understand.
Yeah, and I use that business model you're mentioning, and I'm having nothing, my personal experience from what I was taught by my coach, not Pete. Pete's he's my
Handsome
spiritual.
guy in the room.
He's the most handsome. But my coach has guided me in this business model, and I've been doing great. It took me forever to convince my father. But
Yes, that was kind of like my question to Pete was, I know like that you're going to talk about stuff. Is this something that you just answered it because you said your longest tenant is a Section 8, so you know that game. When
Yeah.
people come into this thing, they want to, like me, who thought about that end of it, or
Yeah.
like what you do.
Would it be
You know what I
discussed?
mean?
It will
He'll be able to talk about it.
So I'm going to show.
On the side, if the people work with you,
Yeah.
you know
of
that
course,
end of the game. Is
100%.
all
We're
I'm
gonna shoot
trying
every
to say.
method.
Yeah, there's little that I either don't know or don't know how to get the answer
I got you.
for. But yeah, we're gonna the at the event, because we have 3.5 hours. I have to pack in as much as I can, and then at the end, there's going to be a community. So like, there's going to be everyone can be part of this. We're going to have like a social media section, like a WhatsApp link, like stuff where like we can all stay connected, answer questions. Because I want this community, I want it to be a community, and I want it to be not just me dumping information at people. I want to be able to have people help each other too. So like, if somebody in the community finds something and they need to borrow money, what better place? And a bunch of people bought in, a bunch of construction workers and police officers and W-2 nurses in this community to go, I need this is what I'm offering. And we know those people have it, and they believe in the game too. So at the end, there's going to be a place to be part of it, get those answers, but also maybe get more opportunities.
I think the important thing about the event too is that me and Pete have been on meetings about the event and what to discuss. There's so much information you'll never ever get it in that time frame that he's saying.
Yeah, of course.
The main idea is to get us all together and start talking and start
Yeah.
Start talking and start educating, because it's going to be a process. This is not going to be an overnight thing, and it's not a realistic.
Nothing ever is.
Well,
Yeah.
first step is that's the first step.
The first step is actually knowing it's possible and
Yes.
believing in it, and
It's going to your event. Is
the
the
first
step.
first step is going to
Come
the
to the
event.
event.
Yeah, that's the first step.
One of my closest friend's sons just bought a multifamily house. He's 21 years old. And I'll be honest, he didn't know shit. I did it all for him, but he believed it was possible, right? So the first step was actually knowing that there's more upside than downside, knowing that a better thing can happen if I take this leap, because it was his labor, it was his income, it was him that did it. I just steered the ship a little bit towards that and let him learn as we were going.
Okay.
So really, it's number one thing we're going to tackle there is mindset, because there's a lot of limiting beliefs in our world saying that they can do it. Only they can do it. They know something we don't know.
It's BS.
It's out there, and what's going to happen? What's the downside? we are limited by our hearts and minds. And one of the things that happens when we get up every day and we go to work and we earn a wage and we're feeding a family is, especially men, we're here to provide. We're here to take care of our families. We're here to make sure that there's food on the table. So we get up, we go to work every day, and we know that minimum is the most important thing on earth, that we will do whatever it takes to create that minimum. And sometimes when we get presented ideas and opportunities that have some risk to it, we're naturally, our hearts and minds are like, I cannot put myself in a position to not put food on the table. I cannot put myself in a position to look my family in the eye and go, I'm sorry, I made this mistake. I can't do this. So like what we do is we tell ourselves, don't try it.
Be safe.
Don't do it.
Sure,
Be
of course.
safe. Make sure that I can just keep waking up and sweating. And we don't realize we're actually creating more risk by doing that, because we're not creating that safety. We're not taking the risk that's in front of us is scarier than the unknown risk of getting hurt at work or the unknown risk of something happening. So we're
Makes sense.
fighting against that. So the mindset that we're bringing here, that it's okay, and we're putting people on stage like Dan and some other people to show them that not only is what I'm shouting, because I'm going to be shouting, because I shout, I'm a shouter. Not only what I'm shouting really, really important, it needs to be heard and known, but these are the bastards that are actually doing it and getting up at 4 a.m. and going to work and doing the thing and still buying houses. Yes, you're a bastard. So, yeah. So this is what this is all about. It's about, most importantly, creating that understanding.
I really want to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you one by one. I'm going to ask you first, Mike, right?
Kevin.
You reverse it.
Reverse.
That's all.
Kevin, how would you feel? I'm going to be like, let's say as honest as possible. Knowing that, let's say you live another 30, 40 years, taking the shot that you at least gave it your all and saying to yourself, at least I tried. At least I took a chance, instead of going to that age and saying, I should have just did that. How do you feel about that? Like, that's a real question.
So I would rather risk something and perhaps not succeed than not risk anything. And as a caveat to all of what I just said, which I was involved in flipping houses years ago, and I told you I got screwed.
So you left a bad taste.
Right? So I did all the work, not by myself, with a friend, all winter. And we made less than 15% of the guy who walked in the house once and brought me the wrong paint and put it down on the floor and got in his Mercedes and left. And we did literally everything, the entire house. So when I was speaking to you about that, the whole thing with the real estate had our mutual friend, we've been talking about this for a long time, because it's just when you're on these job sites and you're suffering and all winter long and you're wet and everything else, and you won't always believe there's something better out there or maybe something additional. So this had been a long conversation. So when our mutual friend asked me to get involved with you, it was a no-brainer because I trust you. But prior to that, I had a bad taste in my mouth, and I swore it off that I would never get involved with it again.
And I don't blame you. We don't. I mean, people have those stories, but we want to guide you. Like whenever we talk about this stuff, it's your money is my money. It really is. Like, if I'm providing you information, I would handle it in that. And that's how my coach is handling it. Like, he is my coach, how he handles it. He is so on top of me. Like, he's so worried about it. But we want to make sure we guide you in that right direction.
That's why I'm here.
I hear you. And to do it again, to say, you know what, I want to try again, says a lot. It really does. Because we're not here to sell you something. We just want you to know it's out there. But I want to ask you that same question. How do you feel about what I asked him about? How would you feel going another 30, 40 years and you're at your deathbed and you said to yourself, oh, I should have just invested in real estate. I should have just did it. Like,
I wouldn't feel good about it. I mean, for me, I'm a little bit older, and I've I'm already feeling that now.
The regret.
Okay, because you know, life is funny. You know, you start out, you got piss and vinegar. You know, you're doing it. You know, I made a lot of money in my life. I gave away. Well, I could say gave away through divorce or whatever. Children. You know, taking care of everybody else. You know, I've given a lot of it away. So, but I still, you know, I still have a fair amount, you know, good living, whatever. So I already did this a little bit with the you know, I thought it was going to be like the last house I bought. I said, oh, this one's going to be all mine. I'm not married anymore. I'm not anything. I'm going to put a couple of rentals in here and I'm going to pay nothing to live here, basically. That was my plan, and that's what I did. You know, so that's what, so now, you know, you know, I'm very ready to do something like this because it's always been in my head to do this. I've seen people do it.
Pete, I'm gonna give you 1 second. So I just want to fill in what everything you said. What we're also teaching you is that you're gonna be fine. Not to say it's gonna happen, but if you do get knocked down, you're gonna know how to pick yourself back up. You're gonna know how to re-strategize, replan, not just, oh, I got knocked down, I'm done. Because there's going to be times, and Pete has told me a story one time where, what was that house you had where you were like $200,000 in debt?
I lost $200,000 on a house.
Not to scare anybody, but that's what happened.
In the red, yeah. Yeah, I lost 200, and my partner lost 200 grand on the same house. So like stuff does go wrong.
Of course.
To be real.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Not just sell. You know, oh, everything's gonna be fine, but
you learn lessons from it. You're gonna teach us one not
but
to
that's
go,
what we're
right?
gonna
I have
That's
failed.
why I'm coming.
I have failed more than anybody in existence in order to show up here and tell you what I've learned.
Not more than me, but maybe everybody
We can
else.
take a shot. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go fail.
I
for
failed
fail.
in
Scoreboard.
But like one of the blessings I have as a human is I have relentless tenacity. So like I have done things with less information than I should have had, and made tremendous amount of mistakes. But the speed in which I went allowed me to repivot, rather than just sitting reading every book and getting to know every bit of information. I just went out and, like a pinball, I just got lumped up until I figured out a path that I can
Fail
share.
forward until you learn.
Yeah, I fail like a motherfucker.
failing
Yeah.
is what leads to success. By the way, you don't want just, oh, I just stumbled on this success. There's just a story behind it. There's your guys' story. We all failed. You wouldn't be in the position that you are in, even in your career. I mean, how many years you got in a job, being a cop, dock builder? You don't stay busy and work because you're just, I'm just a good worker. No, you pushed yourselves to certain levels to get that far, because you know how the business is, and I know how these guys are. If you're not cut out to be a dock builder, you think you're gonna last long in that?
Swallow you up.
Seriously, it's no joke. It's no joke what you guys do. It's serious, heavy construction.
I'd like to bring something up so somebody
Yeah, of course.
that's close to me, bit skeptical, said to me, why would you do this? Right? You know, like, in other words, try to, you know, it's like having, you're Italian, right? So like showing somebody grandma's sauce, right? The recipe, right? So I used my own self as a, to make this analogy. I said, well, because they were like, well, what's he getting out of it? Right? You know, by showing all this, I said, well, I do, without getting too personal, putting stuff out there, because it goes against basic tenets of stuff. I do a lot of outreach in certain areas, you know that, you know. And I said to this person, what do I get out of it? Other than sometimes occasional aggravation, grief, but I do, because I do, you know, I've been doing outreach in certain aspects of my life for many years, and you and I have another thing that we have in common. So we, you know, and we know, you know, that not everything is about an initial return on it, other than maybe the good guy feeling and stuff.
Yeah, and that actually is tremendously valuable. Like I believe in, I actually teach a class for realtors called the Good Guy Rule of Getting Rich. So I believe good brings good. Like, I actually don't know what will come of this
You
for
reap,
me.
truly reap what you sow in this world, and the older you get, you see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing too is, and just because I've been brought up old school generation, my father right off the boat from Sicily, both my parents from Sicily. So coming into this country, my father had to go through the process, become an American citizen, get into the union, got into the union, worked himself up to a foreman. He worked himself to a foreman and working for Rock Rose, Lend-Lease, lead foreman on a lot of these major job sites. But there was always the old school mentality. Don't share your secrets. Why would you give that information out? What am I going to gain if I tell you how I do that? We're in a different world now. And guys don't understand that we're in a completely different world by
You guys are building a community.
Yes.
That's what I was
Well,
trying
you
to
know,
get
that
at. And like you and I had spoken, a rising tide lifts all ships. You know,
Yeah,
and I
of
truly
course.
believe that in you, and that's why I said I would get involved with you in this
You have
endeavor.
to teach.
Yeah.
You have to
You know,
teach.
100%. Because
You
I
know,
believe
yeah.
in the message that you're putting out.
and that's the other barrier I think we also have to break too, is that what I just said is that people say, what is me and Pete gonna gain from this? Like, people think that way. What is Pete gonna gain if he puts
Yeah,
together?
but you know what? That's not how they should be thinking. Not to interrupt you,
No, no,
but
of
they should be
course.
thinking, you should be gaining. If you're going to help me gain, you should be gaining too. Everybody should gain.
Yeah.
That mentality that people have,
But I wanna break
like
that-
That's the wrong
wanna
mentality.
bring it-
I expect for you to gain something if you help me.
I
You know,
I
if you
hope
want
to
to,
God
if you have a big heart, big things are supposed to happen for you.
Right.
You know
that
what I
I do
mean?
well with this, because I want to be able to bring it to the job site. Because I'm a steward
but
a
you
lot
just
of
gotta
times
keep
on the
it real with
job,
people,
and I
you
want to be
know?
able to
100%.
show the guys out in the field, because everybody has a different life story. Like, hey, you know, I got involved with this, and this is where I'm at now. I'm in a little bit better of a
Crazy
position,
part.
or a lot better
So-
of a position, and I could help you with this.
Yeah.
It's so funny that when you give something, right? It's like you know, the old adage: no matter what you have, no matter what skill that you have, even parenting or anything, if you give, well, parenting's different. That's different. But with everything else, if you have a skill and you give your skill, just freely give your skill. Usually, like the people you're giving to, they're not even going to respect it, but then they'll pay money to get that same skill, not even as good as you were going to teach them, but they'll pay money for it. They'll pay all kinds of money and everything. That's just the crazy thing about life.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to
They're-
jump on board while it's free.
but it's
No, but it's worth money.
It's not.
You know
but,
what I
but,
mean?
but forget about all the money. I'm going to tell you how I feel, and I know Pete feels this way too, because he wouldn't do this if he did. If I even talked to him about this. I'm about to say Pete has the same exact feeling. I've been so blessed and able to navigate this life and figure out how to work this game. And I was relentless, just like Pete, trying to figure it out. And I finally did. And now I got into this position where I felt like, okay, I'm in this position now. It's my responsibility to help somebody. I don't want anything in return. I swear to God. I don't, if you gain a house and great, fantastic, I'll be more happy to hear that you're doing okay than me, because I got what I'm there. It's like, I don't want to be lonely at the top. I want everybody to get there. And for me, I just feel like, again, my responsibility now that I have this, and that I can't keep it if I don't share it either. I just believe that. I feel like I'll crumble.
In sobriety, they say to keep it, you have to give it away.
Are you sober?
Yep.
How many years?
12.
12. I'm about to be on 6.
6? Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I figured you were dancing around that. We do, you know.
Not to throw that out.
No,
throw
I know,
any of that
but
out
that's
there, but
I know, because I'm sober, that ultimately, if people don't know, the last and final step is to give back what has been given to you, and that's how I treat life. I treat life in all aspects. It says it in sobriety. It doesn't matter if it is sobriety; it's everything.
in order to keep it, you have to give it away, and the whole. That's basically the all. Everything with AA is about outreach.
100%.
You go to a meeting, you see the guy that looks awkward off in the corner, introduce yourself, come over here, you want a cup of coffee, donuts, whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe exchange phone numbers, you know. I do that on the job too, you know.
Well,
I
we
have
all
to
know
be.
there's not many construction workers that have substance problems. So
Well, no, that's a whole nother topic, and it is a problem.
That's my whole apprenticeship was delivering those goods.
But ultimately,
Get a
yeah,
safety guy here.
safety. Listen, I'm a sober safety guy. But yeah, no, you're 100% right, and that's how I treat this, and that's why Pete also clicks in as well. Is just we're just trying to help the following person.
It's the way I approach most things in my
that's
life.
like a
at this
tenet in
point.
life, no matter what. I mean, you could talk about it in maybe AA, but it's also in like,
I just feel
you know,
good.
it's
Makes me feel
like
good.
it's almost like a law of the, you know, like
Yeah.
being prosperous.
One of my
almost, you know.
favorite sayings that I heard Ed Milet say was that we are called to help those that we have been. Meaning that, like, an alcoholic who, and he tells a story, his father was going to commit suicide, and a alcoholic that was 1 week sober grabbed him and took him to an AA meeting instead of leaving him there, and made him get into the program. And then he sobered up, was a better dad to his kids. His kid became one of the most influential people on the planet and helps millions of people. And
In my life, yeah.
and that one man, 1 week sober, who could have said, "Who the hell am I to help this person? I'm hardly healed myself," walked over and started a movement that he had no idea what domino he knocked over. And I feel like I've been to a place that I wish I could teleport myself back 20 years and go, this is what you should know. And I have that opportunity to grab every person that's living that life and go, this is what you should know. And that's what I'm called to do.
My motivation for doing this is I have 4 children. So I have 2 sons that are in my union, and I don't want them to have to be in my position where, when we spoke earlier about working injured, like
Yeah.
I've been hurt pretty good, and it sucks when you can't you can't make a report, and you go to work, you know, with discs blowing out of your back or whatever, and you have to suck it up because you're not going to get a paycheck, you know, and then do that for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're about to starting to hit the end of the show. With everything that we did say, I really want to get both of you guys honest feedback, and then Pete will fill in anything else he's missing. How do you feel about all this and this?
I think, I mean, coming here not knowing really what's
You're
going
blindsided.
on.
That's what I do.
Everything. That's fine. I'm used to this. But
I've been doing this ever since
No, I would say I'm very versatile.
Keep
That's
doing
why
it.
he can do it, because I'm very versatile. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I
of
can do
course.
anything. But I think it sounds like a really good program that you guys are putting together. And you know, I don't know, if Pete's putting together, or both of you, or
It's mainly Pete's event.
Okay.
He sandbagged me into
Okay,
it.
well,
I
that's
was
great.
sitting there waiting, like,
All
when's
right,
he gonna
that's
buy-
why we're both. That's why
we
we're
both
on
got
this
that.
side.
But
Okay.
ultimately, when he started talking about it, I was like, Pete, how can I be involved in my head? But I was just like, Pete, now you finally asked me. But yeah, so because I'm working with Pete too with this transaction, he sees how I work. I think Pete knows that I'm not just some random dude off the street.
It sounds like a really good thing. Guys should. I mean, people should get involved in it. They should come. They should. You know, it's not like the run of the mill. The people that I know that are involved in it, obviously, there's a guy off camera somewhere that I know for years. And,
We do have an audience today.
and it's my brother, and you know they know Pete, so you know, and that's why I came here today. You know,
thanks for
I didn't know I
coming,
was
man.
going to be on camera here, but I'm glad I was, and I'm glad I got to meet you guys.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
you know, I would love to learn more. And I think everybody should want to
Yeah.
learn
Gonna make that happen.
more. You know, make your money work for you instead of you working for your money, which is what we all do. We work for our money. You know,
course, yeah.
That's like the house that I said that I did. Now, you know, my money's working for me on that small little
And we're
basis.
gonna
but
make
I'd like
that-
to
we're gonna make that into
take
reality.
that on the road.
Yeah,
you know?
let's take it on the road.
You know,
I just like that you're wearing a picture of me on your shirt.
Yeah, that's actually Kevin.
Yeah.
That is actually Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the inspiration. of
That's
that one.
it. That is your closing statement.
I guess I should be proud because I molded him.
You should be proud of
That
it.
and his uneaten box of donuts over there
Oh yeah.
that I'm gonna get to before you. Yeah. My closing statement. I'm
that's
I'm
fine.
all in. I trust Pete. I have high regard for him, and there was no real arm twisting. And I would rather give this another try with somebody who I hold in a different esteem than 10 years from now when I'm on a fixed income with retirement.
Yeah.
Have be looking at something through the optics of regret.
Yeah. We don't. That's what we're trying to
said.
avoid.
Yeah. I don't know what else I can say. I think I said it all today.
Said it all today.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more time, the event.
July 20th, the Working Class Guide to Getting Rich. This is the moment you get to learn what the 1% are not telling you. Come on down.
Thanks, everybody.